Good morning, my dear children. So, today I am going to teach you the sixth chapter of Beehive, that is my childhood. And from the picture itself, it is very clear that it's going to be about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, a very renowned scientist and a celebrated politician. So, here is a brief introduction about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam in full Awal Pakir Zainul Abdul Kalam was born on October 15, 1931 in Rameshwaram, India, and he died on July 27, 2015 in Shillong while addressing the students. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam is one of India's most celebrated scientists and statesmen. Statesman means politician, and was President of the Republic of India from 2002 to 2007. Dr. Kalam was regarded as one of the greatest minds, visionaries, and peacemakers of the early 21st century. He has received many honorary degrees and other honors, including India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna. He is the author of many books, including an autobiography, Wings of Fire, and this particular chapter is an extract from his autobiography. So, now let's proceed with the My Childhood. Can you think of any scientists who have also been statesmen? If we talk about India, it was only APJ Abdul Kalam. Apart from India, there were few, among them Albert Einstein was also one of them. APJ Abdul Kalam, whose projects in space, defense, and nuclear technology guided India into the 21st century, and due to his contribution only he was given the name Missile Man, became our 11th president in 2002. In his autobiography Wings of Fire, he speaks of his childhood. So let's begin with the first para. I was born into a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras. Now the name of Madras is changed into Chennai. My father, Zainul had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these advantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an idle helpmate in my mother, Ashiamma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. So Abdul Kalam had four brothers and sister. He had one sister and three brothers. So his father's name was Zainul Abidin and his mother's name was Ashiamma. Kalam's father was neither educated nor rich, yet he was a wise and a generous man. His mother was also a very kind lady. A number of outsiders daily ate with their family. According to Abdul Kalam, more than the number of members he had in the family. I was one of many children. I told you earlier that Abdul Kalam had three brothers and one sister. So now he talks about his look. A short boy with a rather undistinguished look, born to tall and handsome parents. That means he was short in height, and rather undistinguished means he was an average looking boy, and his parents were tall and handsome. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century, so quite a old home. It was an ancestral means it belonged to his forefathers. It was a fairly large Pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. So his father was a simple yet a strict man, so he provided them with the basic necessities and avoided all the luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. That means they were never deprived of the basic necessities. Though they were not very well to do family, but they can easily afford the basic necessities in life. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. 1 anna means 6 paise. My brother in law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. So, when Kalam was 8 years old, Second World War broke out in 1939, and suddenly there was a demand for tamarind seeds in the market. So Kalam used to collect those seeds and sell them on the general store on mosque streets. A day's collection would fetch him 6 paise. His brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell him the stories about the war, and Kalam tried to find those stories in the local newspaper Dinamani, but he could not because his area was in interior and it remained unaffected due to the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces. Allied forces means UK, USA, and Russia during the Second World War, and something like a state of emergency was declared. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspaper now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. That forced my cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, I filled the slot. Samsuddin helped me earn my first wages. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. So soon India was asked to join the Allied forces, and then the emergency was declared in India. So the first consequences which they faced was the train which used to halt at Rameshwaram, now it stopped halting there at Rameshwaram, and the consequence of that was the newspaper which used to come at the Rameshwaram station has now to be thrown on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. His cousin Samsuddin used to distribute the papers, used to do this work all alone, but now since they have to collect the bundles, collect the bundles which were being thrown from the train, he needed an helping hand, and for that he employed Abdul Kalam, and for that he used to pay him the money. And Kalam really feels pride in earning his first wage. So after 50 years also, when he recall that time, he feels a pride in earning his first wages because it was his own money. So when you people will grow up and you will earn your money, you will also feel that sense of. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by the figures of authority. Figures of authority here means the parents. Socio-economics means whatever you're standing in the society and your economic condition, according to that you are being brought up. I inherited honesty and self discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my three brothers and sister. See, all the children they inherit some or the other quality from their parents. So he inherited self discipline and honesty from his father, and goodness and kindness from his mother, and it is very obvious in the first paragraph only. I had three close friends in my childhood, and their names were Ramanand Shastri, Aravindan, and Shiv Prakashan. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Orthodox means you can say strict or very traditional. They were very traditional thinking. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. So Abdul Kalam was a Muslim boy. These three boys belonged to an Orthodox very conservative Hindu family, Brahmin family, but they were there was no difference in their upbringings. There was no discrimination on the basis of religion. In fact, Ramanand Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. So Ramanand's father was a high priest in the Rameshwaram temple. Later he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. So when his father grew old, Ramanand took his place and he became the high priest. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railway. So when they grew up, they all went into different directions. Ramanand Shastri, he became the priest. Arvindam, he went into the business of transport for, and then Shiv Prakashan became a catering contractor in Southern. During the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site. Situated in the middle of the pond called Ramtit, which was near our house, events from the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. So it is very obvious from this paragraph that Kalam and his friends, they never felt any religious differences when they were children. During the annual Sri Sitaram Kalyanam ceremony, Kalam's family arranged boats for carrying idols of the Lord. And his bedtime stories include the events from the Ramayana as well as from the Quran. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramanand Shastri, who wore sacred thread. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest sunsetting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as a new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramanand Shastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. So one day, when Kalam was in class 5th, a new teacher came to their school, and Kalam used to, being a Muslim, he used to wear a cap which shows that he was a Muslim, and his friend Ramanand used to wear a sacred thread, that is genuine, which marked him as a Hindu. So the new teacher could not stomach, means he could not tolerate that a Hindu boy is sitting with a Muslim boy. So he asked Kalam to go to the back seat. To this, both Ramanand Shastri and Kalam felt very bad. When Kalam stood up and he was going at the back, Ramanand Shastri was feeling very bad, and he felt so bad that he started crying. Now rest we will continue in the next video. Till then, it's my request to all of you, please go through the chapter thoroughly. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. Till then, take care. Bye bye.